Hello, welcome everyone to today's episode where we'll be diving deep into a topic that resonates with all of us finding purpose and passion in daily life. Whether you're at a crossroads, feeling stuck, or just curious about how to bring more joy and meaning into your everyday life, this conversation is for you. I'm Michaela, and today I'll be joined by the wonderful Angelica del Carmen, a transformational guide in personal development and spirituality. Together, we'll be exploring the ideas of purpose and passion, not as lofty goals or in destinations, but something that we can find in the small moments and choices of daily life. We'll talk about how to start discovering what truly excites you, how to work through self doubt, and why embracing the journey can be just as fulfilling as reaching the goal. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's take a thoughtful journey into what it really means to create a life filled with purpose and joy. So, welcome, Angelica. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
So, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you probably have already heard me talk with Angelica before because she's been on my radio show a couple times and she and I collaborate on a lot of different things. So, I finally talked her into becoming one of my recurring guests. So, I'm so excited to have her here. I always talk about body, mind, and spirit. And with my recurring guest, I've kind of created this community where each show we talk about a different aspect of holistic health. And Angelica is going to be our spiritual person. So, this is the spirit part of the body, mind, and spirit. And remember, everything is totally connected. You can't separate one from another. But sometimes we may talk about one over another, but it affects our full being. So let's just jump right in. So the first thing that I really love to discuss is this whole idea about purpose versus passion. Because so many people think that purpose and passion are the same thing and they use it interchangeably, but it's not necessarily the same. To me, purpose speaks more of our bigger calling or our mission in life, whereas our passion is more about what fulfills us and fuels us, in our day to day. So there's a saying that I that pops to my mind when I think about purpose, that purpose is what happens in others when you do what you do, which is totally different than what
Mhm.
your passion is, because you can have a passion for traveling or a passion for eating or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's your purpose. you
Yeah.
know so so although some people, I guess, if you have a passion for eating, you can have a purpose for eating as well, but that's totally different story. So what is your take on this? How would you define passion versus purpose?
It's funny because you're right. The words are used kind of either or, right? Like interchangeably. And it does get confusing. But for me, purpose is when, for example, you came to this world for a reason. That is the purpose. There is something bigger than you. Passion is what fulfills you, what makes you happy while we are here. So for me, that's like the key difference in both, because our purpose could be anything from maybe learning how to love more another, or maybe our purpose is to be a change maker in the world, and your purpose is to like light the world with expansion and this and that. But your passion, like you said, can be something totally different. Your
Yeah.
passion can be gardening, and it's like there's nothing wrong with either one. It's just two totally different things. That's how I see them.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Although for many people, their passions can fuel their purpose, or their purpose could be part of their passion, but it is two totally, totally different things. And I think it's important for people to understand that.
Mhm.
So many times you hear people, particularly those of us who tend to be more entrepreneurial, you always hear the stories of, oh, find what you like and then make that into a business, but that doesn't necessarily always work because,
Yeah.
what you like may not be something that you can really make a business out of. And even if you make a business out of it, you may find that that business um, makes you not like that passion anymore. Because you get burned out or worn out
Yes.
or whatever, and then you start to really dislike it.
Yes. And I love that you said that because that's exactly what I was thinking. And there's nothing wrong with doing what you love as that and as a business and because you're going to enjoy work. You're going to enjoy the things that you
Yeah,
do. But let's be real, since we're talking spirituality-ish in a way. Let's be real. If we came and we're living a human experience and something is happening and we're fighting scarcity and we're fighting competition in our own head and we haven't transmuted all those things, you're right. We're going to burn out our passion. We're not going to want to do that anymore. And why? It's like with art. Why? I am a graphic designer. I self-taught myself when I was 19.
yeah,
When I started doing graphic design and web design work in my early 20s, I burned out. And for me, it wasn't fun anymore. So I
yeah,
couldn't consider that fun. And yeah, I totally agree with that.
yeah. You know, from my vantage point too, like when you think about the whole passion and using that as a way to make money. So, like, I love sewing.
Hmm.
It's been a passion of mine since I was a little girl. I mean, I literally like started sewing when I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. And I love sewing. But for a period of time in my life, I would have a lot of people that would ask me to make stuff for them. So I'd be like, okay, and they're like, I'll pay you for it, because they loved, what the creations that I could bring to life and everything. And so I'd be like, okay, I love doing this. So sure, I'll do that. But then eventually I got to a point where I didn't like it anymore because I
Hmm.
was stressed out trying to create things for other people and creating it to their specifications and what they wanted. And because I also at the time, which I still do a little bit, but I'm much better, struggle with perfectionism. Everything had to be just right and just so. And so it stressed me out so much that I no longer enjoyed it. Literally to the point that I literally put my machines away in storage because I could not bring them out. I just could not sew a thing. Now, here recently, I've started sewing again, but I only do stuff for myself, and I'm enjoying it much more. so,
And
so
that's the beauty of it. We have to enjoy the things that we are passionate about. We have to bring ourselves things that make us laugh, that
yeah,
make us have,
yeah.
I really want to do this because life is meant to be enjoyed. And yet we're like, I have to find my purpose. I have to find my mission. I have to do my vision. I have to do the goal. I have to. So we get all in our heads. We literally get on all in our human little heads.
Yes, 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 we do. Yeah, and I know, like, there. I'm sure passion designers they've taken their passion and made it their purpose, but they probably enjoy it and they love it and they thrive off of it. So it's very important to know the difference between passion and purpose and being able to fully embrace that and be authentic and true with yourself and not try
Hmm.
to force it. I think this is where I'm coming from with that.
Hmm. Yeah. No, and I think also let's do the other side of the coin. Now that they're hearing us talk about this, if you want to go for it, go for it. And if you don't
Oh,
burn out,
absolutely.
definitely. But know that at some point, if you do, it's okay. You can let it go.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that are like, no, now I got involved and now I have to do this. And I told everybody I was good at this and now I hate it and I feel like I'm hiding. No, who cares? No, like you put your things in storage and you're like, I'm done. And
Yeah.
that's also okay. And
Yeah.
people need to realize that you can be very profitable doing that. Or you just say, hey, I gave it a shot. I tried it. Storage you go. Next.
Yeah, and it was very stressful for me because at the time I was also trying to run my regular business and take care of the children and everything else, and so for me, something I love to do turned into a chore,
Hmm.
and so that passion went away.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Get
so
that. Hmm.
which kind of brings me to the next the point is about identifying what your core values are and what your interests are, because those are different things too, and those are going to play different into your passion or your purpose. So as Angelica said, if you're just kind of beginning your journey into purpose, I think it's important for you to identify what your core values are and what your interests are as a step, the first step into trying to discover what your purpose is. I often will advise clients to reflect on what they naturally gravitate towards and kind of use that as a starting point. So what do you have to say about that? I know you work with a lot of people on spirituality
Hmm.
and the whole spirituality. By the way, for those of you that are listening, this conversation may seem like it's a little woo to you. I would challenge you to embrace the woo, because it's not really as woo as you think, because we have a spirit within us, okay? And you can either hinder that spirit or feed that spirit. And that's why we're having this conversation about the difference between passion and purpose. Both of those can feed your spirit, but in different ways. So it's very important for you to be able to identify what is what. At least that's my perspective on it. What do you have to say about it?
Lots. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I figured you did. That's why I'm going to let you take the lead on this particular discussion here.
Yeah, and I love what you just said, because yeah, people hear the word spirituality, they're like, oh no, that's woo, that's this, that's that. And it's not that. Literally, to answer both of those at the same time, our passion is fueled by our spirit. You can call your spirit your heart, the Holy Ghost, the universe, the something bigger than you, the something outside of whatever you want, but it's coming from your heart. And we all have that intuition, that gut feeling,
Yeah.
that something, that's what we're referring to. We don't need to label it, because even the word spirituality has gotten a label. So
Mhm.
it's without even labeling, it's just what lights you up inside. And that is
Yeah.
the passion. It's not coming from your head, because our head is more of a, I think I want to do this, or I think that. And that's more into the thinking realm than the passion. Dreams don't have logic. We just have dreams, and that's where they come
Right.
from. Now, the core beliefs, for me, the core values, the way that I explain them to people and with clients and sessions and friends, whatever, the way that I explain it is more of a, what are your non negotiables?
Yeah.
What did you really like have in your head that you're like, I'm going to give this a try, but this, and this, it's like a no. Like that's just not happening. That's how you know what your core values are in any aspect.
Yeah. I like that you said that, because yeah, it's like sometimes a good starting point is to know what is a no-go.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can go ahead and cross that off the list. Okay. So it's like, nope, nope, and nope. So
Right.
that's
And hell
always
no.
a really good starting point.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. And I think some people get very confused in the, this is what I was taught to believe, and these are the core values of my family or of my
Yeah.
society, of my, and I look at them, and well, you know me personally, and I think by the way I'm talking, people can pick up on my way of being. I look at them and I'm like, just the words you're using tells me they're not your core values.
Yes.
Because you were raised with them doesn't mean you believe or align in them, but you
Yeah.
think you have to be loyal to
Right.
those beliefs because they were from your family or your tradition or your culture or whatever. We know inside of ourselves what we agree to and what we don't. And that's basically just listen to yourself. Where do you draw the line, and on what? And what lights you up?
Yeah. And I would venture to say, too, in the work that I do, those core values that people try to aspire to from their culture, from their family and things, actually can be a very big hindrance, because those turn out to be, for many people, what we call limiting beliefs in the realm of work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all the stuff that, your family taught you, society taught you, that you've kind of accepted as truth, that's not necessarily your truth.
Right.
And so those beliefs can actually hold you back. They can actually limit your potential. They can limit you actually finding your true purpose
Yeah.
and your true passions. If you're a child and your parents always telling you, okay, you're supposed to be a doctor, and so you grew up believing, I'm supposed to be a doctor, I'm supposed to be a doctor, and you go to medical school and everything. You haven't had that opportunity to discover
Mm-hmm.
your own purpose and your own passion. You've just accepted that because that's what someone else gave you. And then maybe eventually you decide, I don't want to be a doctor. That's not what I was meant to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if we take that a different step, even in the things that you do, so much has been proven that when we're not happy, we start affecting our physical body, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not only that you're quote unquote unhappy. Let's say in this case, being a doctor, when your heart wasn't in it, you just thought you had to be in it. But then you start getting all these things in your physical body, and you start getting these sicknesses, and you start getting all these like not healthy, happy states, period. I'm not going to label them all. I don't want to get into that. But then that's what happens. And it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And literally everything I do is I tell everybody, be happy. Find a way to be happy. Do I have days that I want to send myself to where and be like, screw happiness? Yeah, of course. I have my ups and downs. I'm human. But the more following what we're talking about today, following it in a daily way, in a practice, and getting to do that, following your interest, your passion, your purpose, discovering what that is, so many things in our life go for the better.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a huge point too that I try to make as well, is that you cannot separate the body, mind, and spirit. They all affect the others. So if your spirit's not right, if you're not happy, if you're not fulfilled, it's absolutely going to show up in the body. It will show up in the body as tension and stress and inflammation, which in turn turns into bigger things. And you're absolutely right. It's like, find something to go be happy. And you can take that a step further too, and you think about people who have come down with these chronic illnesses and have been able to manage to turn themselves around just by changing attitude,
Yeah.
just by changing. So something, although it sounds simple to be happy, I know it's not,
Mm-hmm.
but it's as simple as that. Find things that feed your creativity, that feeds your passion, that can help, raise your vibration, make you happier. Find the joy, find the gratitude, and that will in turn help turn the physical body around as well. You won't have all that tension, all that stress, all of those knots in your body that lead to other things. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I try to help people understand you can't separate it. You cannot separate it. And this is a big piece of it. The whole spirit part of this is a big piece of this. So I'm glad we're having this conversation today, because I think this is information that people really need to be aware of, and they really need to understand how just doing simple things of finding things that fulfill you and doing them can make such a huge difference in their quality of life.
Yeah. Completely. And the thing is, how to be practical about it. So even things like what we wear. If
Mhm.
what you're wearing doesn't make you feel comfortable, you're setting yourself up to be unhappy the rest of the day, because you're going to be fidgeting with your clothes, because maybe you
Yeah.
gain weight and the button is like about to explode because it doesn't fit. So it's like all these things. And when people talk about, like we're talking about now, how to be happy and how to make a happier life, there are simple, mundane solutions just like that. wear something that makes you feel good. If
Yeah.
you're a woman, wear something that makes you feel beautiful, whatever that definition is for you. Because
Yeah.
whatever I find beautiful may not be for you, but it doesn't matter. It is for me. So I wear it, I do it.
Yeah.
And it's those little simple things. But again, our humanness takes our mind into the, I can't be happy. I'd rather be a grump. But because fine, then be a grump. I mean, the choice is yours. You could be happy for 3 minutes. You could be happy for five, and then be a grump the rest of the day. But start,
Yeah.
and it feels good. It really does.
Yeah. Well, you said it. Sometimes it does come down to making a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to be miserable and unhappy, or you can choose to try to find something to be happy about.
Yes.
You can choose to be grateful, even for the tiny things. I often will have my clients when they're struggling, it's like, start a gratitude journal, start there. If you can't find anything to be grateful for, start with like very basic thing of, I have water to drink.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's like there's always something you can find to be grateful for. And when you start looking for those little things, that can lead to bigger things, and that will help clear your vision and help you to start really finding the things that you really want in your life that can fulfill you.
Right. And it's sometimes bringing the mind, like you just said, do a gratitude. And sometimes you sit there with pen and paper. What do I have to be thankful for? I have all this happening to me.
Mhm.
But if you force yourself, and like you said, I had water to drink today. We could even go as basic as I had air to breathe. Because if you
Mhm.
didn't, you're not alive. I mean, that is one that
Exactly.
I tell everybody, you can't tell me you can't be grateful for the breath you just took the last every single second of your life,
Right.
because you still have it. Like, it's not like, okay, maybe you didn't have water yesterday because there wasn't any, but you had breath. And those
Right.
are the things. It's training our minds to look for the happy, to look for the good, to look for the positive.
Yes.
Because I mean, you know this more than I do. Our brain and our body, we're trained, we're wired, we're hardwired to
Yeah.
remember the bad, because for our brain, that's the safety. If I
Yeah.
keep you safe, I'm going to scare you to death, literally, so that that dinosaur doesn't come eat you.
Right.
We don't suffer from that anymore. But if we realize that that is the function of our mind,
Yeah.
then we can train it and be like, hey, it's okay. Dinosaurs don't exist. There's no tiger out to eat me. Boss might be like a tiger, but he's not. Like, we're good. Um, but it's training our brain to look for the good, to look for the happy. We're talking about purpose and mission. If we're
Yeah.
so grumped down in all these things, how are we going to fulfill our mission? How are we going to fulfill
Yeah.
our heart? So it's everything's combined. So yeah, mind, body, spirit, everything is connected. Everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is, I use this phrase a lot. I know a lot of other people use it, variations of it, but it's all about, you know, it's a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that even in this case, when we're talking about finding our purpose and passion and joy and stuff, I think that that's also our journey and not a destination. It's not like, oh, I finally found joy. No, it's something you have to cultivate. It's something that you have to actually make steps to uncover, to find, that passion and find that joy. But I think though that so many people get wrapped up in the finality of it of,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I got to do this, got to do this to get joy. And but I feel like it's a journey. So it's another step and another step and another step. And I think that we, like I said, we get so wrapped up in the destination part of it that we don't take the opportunity to enjoy the journey itself, because we have this picture of this end game, if you will, this final destination.
Mm-hmm.
And And then so we get that tunnel vision of, okay, very analytical, got this step, got this step, got this step, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this to get there, that we don't even really think about the day to day
Yeah.
and what we're doing as we're walking this journey, because it is a journey. Our entire life is a journey. So I think so. What do you feel about that? I mean, am I way off base here? I mean, that's
Never. No, you're not. Because we talk about the same thing in different words.
yeah,
So again, so people understand spirituality isn't woo and craziness. That is literally what spirituality talks about. So enjoying the moment right now, like let's say it in normal terms for now, layman's words. Yes, we have to enjoy because we've been so trained that there's a goal and you have
yeah,
to reach the goal and
yeah,
you could only focus on that goal and you can't do anything. It's just like, unfortunately, we as kids or we as parents tell the kids, you can't have dessert until you have your food.
right,
So it's like when you reach your goal is when you get the pleasure, the happiness, the this, the that. So we've been conditioned to say, not now, later. But then spirituality comes in and reminds us later never exists. The only moment that actually happens is the present moment.
yeah,
Yesterday, what we call yesterday, it happened.
right,
What we're worrying and anxiety and all these things about the future haven't happened. It's in our head. It's literally in our head. The eternal moment, which is what spirituality, different ways they call it, but it's the present moment, the eternal moment, right now. And again, if we're not focusing on, well, maybe right now I want to choose happiness. Maybe
yeah,
right now I want to choose a dessert and
yeah,
then I'll go for the goal. Like I'll go for
yeah,
it, but let
yeah,
me enjoy it. Maybe right now I'd rather have fun and not keep putting it off. And that's exactly what it is. It's coming back to center. It's coming back to saying, I have a goal, I have a mission, I have a purpose, I have a plan, I have a project, whatever we want to call it. But I can enjoy the right now,
yeah,
even if it's 10 seconds.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. I think we have become such a goal-oriented society that everything is a list of goals.
Mm-hmm.
We have our list. It's like, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to, and we're checking off the list. And life is, not that way. It's not a checklist.
No.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes a checklist is good,
We like our to
particularly,
do lists.
yeah. Sometimes you need a to-do list to stay on
Right.
track.
Right.
Sometimes you need a checklist when you're traveling to make sure you bring everything that you need to bring with you. But we cannot use a checklist for life.
Yes. And I don't want to be, I'm thinking, do I say this? Do I not say this? I don't want to be grim, but if we don't enjoy life now, really, the only guarantee we have, all of us, just like we've all been breathing, means one day we will not.
Yeah.
How or when, nobody knows. So why wait? I'll be happy until I get this done. Again, I don't want to be grim, but what happens if you die before that point?
Yeah.
So you were never happy? You just postponed it? Like, I know she won't mind, but I'll give my sister as an example of something super mundane. If she is listening, hi. So she had the opportunity, she had a car, she had a nice car, and she had the opportunity to buy a Jeep as a second car. And she said, no, I don't want to buy it. I've always thought about it, but no, I already have a car. And she herself came up with why am I going to keep waiting until what, I'm 70?
Yeah.
Like I can buy it now. I can't get on it when I'm 60 and 70.
Yeah.
Like a Jeep is to be enjoyed now. And she loves her Jeep, aka she bought it. She loves her Jeep. And that's the same mentality. It's
Yeah.
why do we put things off? We don't know if we can enjoy it later or not.
Yeah.
And our enjoyment changes. What if later we're not even happy with that? Like, oh, that wasn't as fulfilling. Let me try another goal for another 10 years. Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, what you're saying. I've had some of those types of revelations myself as I get older. And for those of you that are listening or watching, yes, I am older. I am actually a senior citizen.
Believe it or not. I
Um,
know.
so as you know, as I get older, I started thinking about those things. You start thinking about, well, I should have did this and I should have did that, or I should have enjoyed that, while I could. And though being older now, I am in that mindset more now of, you know what? I don't know how much more time I have. I'm going to enjoy as much as possible right now.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I should probably be doing this, that, and the other, and for the future and whatever. But I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I just want to enjoy it as much as I can while I can. Because tomorrow's not
Yeah.
promised and you don't know what's going to happen. And then, you always hear about people when they get towards later in life and you hear about their regrets. And I don't want to be one of those people that regrets not doing this or not doing that or not enjoying this or not enjoying that. It doesn't mean that life is perfect and I'm going to be happy and joyful all the time, but it does mean that I am going to make an effort to enjoy the days that I do have. And I encourage everyone to do that and not wait until you're older to come to that realization. I wish I had realized this when I was in my 30s, okay? Because I would have had a lot more, bucket list stuff done.
And that's the thing. And that's what I love about all these shows. It's people get to hear from other people. They're listening to that. So a 30-year-old, a 20-year-old, maybe even a 40-year-old listening could be like, oh my gosh, she makes total sense. Look at that. And that's why we do these kind of things, to be able to let other people know. And you nailed on it again. We have a choice.
Yeah.
Do I continue to live the way I've been living, maybe more unhappy than happy? I mean, we are all going to go through emotions. I don't
Yeah.
care who we are. We're all going to go through emotions. We're all going to go through life. We're all going to go through ups. We're all going to go through downs.
Yeah.
It's a matter of how are you dealing with it? What are you choosing to do
Yeah.
different if what's happening you don't like? If this thing isn't fulfilling you, okay, fine. We can't yet use the magic wand and poof, change
Yeah.
it, but we can change it. So what are the steps that you're going to do, and what are you going to do to enjoy those steps while it's changing? And I think all of these are the conversations that we're having that people just need to go within themselves
Yeah.
and say, okay, what do I think about what these ladies are talking about? What do I feel?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
I agree? Do I not agree? Is this one of my core beliefs or not?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and and I would tack on to that, since I've already, mentioned that I'm older. A lot of people say I don't look as old as I am. And they're always asking me, it's like, "Oh my gosh, what's your secret?" It's like, I can't believe that you're that old. And honestly, obviously I take care of my physical body as best I can. I mean, and that's a given. But honestly, I feel like getting to a point where I let go of all the toxicity and the grump factor and just started trying to embrace my life as best as I possibly can. I think that is like the biggest anti-aging secret there is out there.
Yeah.
It's enjoying your life, not slowing down, not giving time the opportunity to catch up to you.
Mhm.
Just, live your passion, live your life, do your thing. Um, those who have followed me for a while probably know that health and wellness was not my first career. My first career was actually in tech. I was a computer person. And at the time, I loved it. But then I got to the point, it's like, what in the world am I doing working in corporate America? It's a drone. And I had to let that go. I was, back when I was doing it, there were very few women in the field and it was very stressful. It was, sometimes often very toxic environments, and it beat me down. And just being able to let go. I mean, I made good money. It was a good job, but it didn't fuel me. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't fulfill me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I still have a very, very tech brain and I still have a very analytical brain, which really helps with the work that I do now because I know how to break down problems with the best of them.
Right.
But being able to make those changes did wonders for me. And I truly believe that's part of what has helped me to age better. So I want to encourage those of you who are watching and listening to find that passion, find your purpose, and start living it. It can not only affect your mental state, your emotional state, but also your physical state. Yeah.
Completely. Completely. And I want to add to that. There's a certain factor that people say find your passion and live it, and they don't know what that passion is. And that's okay, because we talked about it at the beginning. But then find something that brings you joy. And then it's like a
Absolutely.
breadcrumb. And then, oh, you do something else that brings you joy. And then, oh, you do something, and then you will find it. Because in the things that I do, I find that a lot of people have lost so much
Hmm.
their connection to themselves, their
Yeah.
connection to their own life, their connection to anything that's not bills, work, money, problems.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to get back.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I recommend. It's like, am I going to tell you to go meditate half an hour? No, your mind is not going to let you. It's
Right.
not, it's like, what are you doing here? Why are you sitting here? Go get up, go work. But it's find the little breadcrumbs
Yeah.
and then follow those. Find that passion through there. Because again, I think there's been so much talk throughout the years that all these labels have become like this entity
Yeah.
that it's not that it sounds cliche, but it does because everybody talks about it, but nobody explains to you, God, there's simple little steps you can take.
Hmm.
Just do this and that's it.
Yeah.
Just go run with it and see how it goes. And
Yeah.
it's that, and that's that.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that about the physical because it's true. When you are happier, you glow and and
Hmm.
and, and you physically change. You
Yes.
glow. And we all know that because people say it. Oh
Yeah.
my God, what did you do? You look amazing.
Yeah.
And they can't nail what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's part of it.
And I'd venture to say too that people should not get bogged down too much in what their lifelong purpose is because your purpose can change at different stages of life. It's like,
True.
early stages of life, your purpose might be one thing. Later in mid stage of life, your purpose might be something else. Later stage in life, your purpose might be something else. So purpose can change. Your passions can also change as well. But it's important to be able to understand that being able to go within yourself and be authentic and those
Mhm.
those processes of just recognizing what does fuel you, those are going to be things that you can use throughout your life when you find your purpose is changing or your passions changing, because then you can go into yourself and go, okay, what fuels me now? you know
Yeah.
what's going to fulfill me now? Maybe back then, taking care of the children was your purpose and it was fulfilling for you. Now your children are adults, that's no longer your purpose. Your purpose may be to be grandmother. Your purpose may be able to start a later in life business. Your purpose may be, you know gardening or growing all the pretty flowers, but only you know what that is. No one can tell you what your purpose is. You need to discover that for yourself.
Well, I know my purpose isn't to grow the pretty flowers because I have no green thumb at all. I have tried. They have told me. So no. But yeah, and you're absolutely right. At different moments in our lives, but then again, from a spiritual point of view, even a personal development point of view, we're all meant to evolve. We're all meant to
Mhm.
expand. So you're right. Why do we have to think that we have one purpose that we came in, or what is our one purpose in life? I was a single mom for a very long time. My one purpose literally was to keep this child alive.
Right?
That's, the bonus was the good education and everything else and the food but it was to keep her alive. And yes, you're absolutely right. She went away to college, empty nester myself now. My purpose completely changed. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that we only have one purpose. We could have many purposes. Some may be dormant, some may we fiddle with, and others completely change. Because if we grow up, which is what we're supposed to do, and we evolve and we ascend and we expand the things that we know, why wouldn't our purpose, or our passions or our interests, why
Mhm.
wouldn't they change? We have to think of all the many possibilities available, even for that. Maybe we do have a sole purpose, one sole purpose, and we may never even find out what it is.
Yeah.
We might actually do it, make it be. Maybe it was to learn unconditional love. That's not something somebody
Yeah.
sells on a billboard. So it's like, okay, maybe all those things are changeable, and that's
Yeah.
good. Change
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about overcoming obstacles and self doubt when a person is trying to find their path. I know lots of times when people start on this journey and they feel like, okay, I kind of know what I'm supposed to be doing. And so they start doing it, but then they get all these roadblocks or they start to doubt, okay, well, maybe this isn't really what I'm supposed to be doing, and so they start to get, so they kind of waffle and this, that, and the other. What advice would you have for those people when they're feeling blocked or even insecure about pursuing their passion?
Number one is have a little bit of self love and self
Mm,
compassion, because let's say we have a goal, a nifty goal, right? And we do everything and we start finding obstacles. There's different kinds of people. Some people will overcome the obstacles and then they have another one and whatever, and they'll push themselves through. But there are other people that don't. That these are, I think, the people you're referring to, because we're like, that little voice in our head starts. I told you you weren't good enough. You weren't
yeah,
smart enough. You were
yeah,
the, who do you think you are that you were going to get that? And all these nasty little thoughts. So my first thing is have some self love and self compassion, because things aren't as easy until they are.
right, yeah,
So if you have an obstacle, have the self-love and have compassion, and then see, okay, what about this obstacle? Is it either showing me maybe I don't need to do it this way, but I can do it this way? Or
yeah,
maybe I'm supposed to do this, or maybe it's the universe telling me, no, maybe try this. So it's not that it's an obstacle that you cannot overcome. It's okay, what
yeah,
do I do now?
yeah,
But try to stay neutral, because the first thing we tend to do is self
yeah.
criticize.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, oftentimes, I obstacles or redirection,
Yeah. Yes.
kind of a detour. Doesn't mean that you're not headed in the right direction. It just maybe means that you need to do it a different way.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we, like you said, I think sometimes we do get caught up in the, oh, it's not going the way that I thought it was supposed to go. Or, it's not doing this and it's not doing that. So you want to give up because then you go, well, maybe this isn't for me.
Hmm.
Well, that's not necessarily so. So you're absolutely right. Being able to be neutral in that particular instance can be very beneficial because it helps you to step outside of the situation that's currently happening in the now and look at it from a point of view of what's really going on here. What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me?
Right.
Maybe it doesn't mean I should stop. Maybe it just means there's a better way or a different way. Or maybe it's a protective mechanism because, you're doing it in a way that could potentially harm you. So,
Right.
because our bodies and our spirits and our minds have this innate ability to know what's good for us.
Yes.
but we need to be able to be aware and listen to it. That's what intuition is. That's all intuition is listening to the innate abilities of the body to tell you what's going on, what's really happening.
Right.
Because sometimes our mind, in trying to keep us safe, will distort things. Or sometimes conditioning
Hmm.
that was taught to us by culture can also distort things. There's another saying, in my yoga training, about how it's not good or bad, it's a perspective.
Hmm.
And the perspective is formed by our own bias.
Hmm. For me, everything is perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Normal lingo. We'll
Okay.
define it. Normal lingo. You're absolutely right. Our brain is, I don't know the anatomy of how it works, but I know that the things that we see, it's like a hologram inside our head and then the eyes and whatever. But everything is filtered through our experiences, our
Hmm.
beliefs, our core beliefs when we were growing
Yeah.
up, or everything in our brain is filtered. And the perfect example I heard of years ago, which is how I understood it, is if there's an accident on a four-way, there's an accident, and there's people on the four ways that witness the accident. Everybody has a different
Yeah.
perspective of the same event.
Yes.
So it's like once you understand that nobody's right, nobody's wrong, they're just coming from their perspective. That's also the reason why some people are like, well, why did they try this and they didn't have an obstacle, but I did?
Right.
Well, because maybe what you're perceiving as an obstacle, for them, they're not perceiving it as an obstacle.
Exactly.
Maybe for them, it was just a step. Maybe for them, they didn't even notice it,
Yeah.
whatever. And then from the spiritual side, it's also very important to learn to recognize when our mind is breaking out and yelling at us, oh my God, no, you should quit because of this and that, versus thinking wrongly, for lack of a better word, oh, this should be spirit telling me not to do this. This isn't meant for me.
Yeah.
No, let's not use that as an excuse. The universe has our back. Spirit has our back. There's something so much bigger than us
Yeah.
that has our back, that you will clearly, it will get taken out of the way. But if it's still on the running and you're thinking, oh my God, maybe this isn't meant for me, that's fear, honey. That's limiting beliefs. Those are things that we need to work through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it has to be very careful. People have to be very careful. And I know, and I'm talking from experience, because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have done that because, that wasn't for me. Yeah, no, that was me not wanting to step up and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we all have experiences like that. Even those of us who know better, it's like we're no better than others. It's
We're
like,
human.
we're human. We just sometimes are a little bit more aware than the average person. But we all go through that. And yeah, absolutely. Sometimes in order to get a clear vision of the path, we do have to remove some of those blocks and some of those limiting beliefs, some of those false perceptions in order to see clearly what the path is. And sometimes when we do have those blocks and perceptions that does not allow us to see the path clearly, what we view as obstacles is actually ourselves trying to help us clear that block so we can see. So it's not, oh, this is the wrong path. It's, no, you need to be able to see this a little bit clearer. So we need to get this out of the way first. So got to remove those cones from the middle of the road.
Exactly. Exactly. But again, we're human. We get comfortable, we get lazy, we get scared, and we're like, no, 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 no. That's
Yeah.
detour sign. No, just get out of the car and move the cones. Like you said, like it's looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, daily life. Okay. And that's what what we were leading up to is it's a journey, not a destination. It is not a goal. Okay. So every day is another step in that journey. it's another movement forward. So this is about being able to infuse daily things to help you on that journey and be able to enjoy the journey and not just be trying to reach a destination. So, what are some things that you would recommend to help people to find small ways to make their daily life more meaningful? Because I feel like if we can find meaning in the mundane in our daily lives, that will help us to feel more purposeful and be able to discover those passions, even when we're just doing like our everyday things. So, what would you like to put out there as some things that people can do to enjoy this journey?
I think besides the one that you mentioned, the gratitude, I think just looking at maybe 3 things that you're grateful for, start changing your perspective. And we can do that daily because it's just 3 things. I mean, you can
Yeah,
name them in 2 seconds, 5 if you're being grumpy, you know? Um, but I mean, even the most mundane things for you to find purpose and passion and all of these things, start with what you want today. Do
yeah,
you want the same coffee every day? Or could you maybe make your coffee a little bit different the next day and taste it a little bit different? So, why am I saying that? Because we are so patterned into a routine.
yeah,
You go, you brew your coffee, you do this, you drink it exactly the same way, exactly every single day. And then when you have a good coffee outside somewhere else, you actually taste it and you enjoy
yeah,
it. So why can't we do that at home? Why can't we really do the little mundane things that we do so automatic?
yeah,
Maybe change them up just a little bit. If that's the way you like your coffee, fine. Serve it in a different mug. Do
yeah,
things that get you out of the routine, because for
yeah,
me, those are the daily things that I would recommend. Is what do you do in a daily routine, non-thinking, just, I mean, how many times have we eaten and then 5 hours later, 2 hours later, you're like, did I eat today?
yeah,
We're so in our head, we're so doing this, we're
yeah,
so eating the same thing, we're so driving to the same place to eat the same thing. You don't even see the rest of the menu because you always order the same thing. Try different things. And I think for me, that's what it is. Even while you pick up your kids, while you dress, while you do your hair, while you put on your shoes, whatever it is, be more aware, be
yeah,
more grateful. Okay, the shoes might have a scratch and dirty, and okay, this or that. But you know what? I'm grateful I have shoes. I don't have
exactly.
to go to where I'm going barefoot.
Yeah.
And it's just those perspectives, changing those little things.
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend gratitude journals as well to many of my clients because it's a good starting point for shifting a lot of things.
Mhm.
Another thing that I find very helpful, and we've talked about this before, is setting an intention for the day. It's like if you start your day setting the intention of, okay, I am going to be joyful today, or I am going to, take care of myself today, or I am going to, whatever you're going to do for the day, setting that intention sets the tone for the entire day. And if you can get up and you can make that choice first thing in the day of, I'm going to enjoy this day. No matter what comes, I'm going to enjoy this day. It makes it a lot easier for you to be able to do your everyday thing with joy, even if something else comes up
Yes.
that could potentially be perceived as negative. But setting that intention first thing sets the tone for the entire day. And as you were talking, one of the things that came to mind is, um, I've been on this huge decluttering kick, which I always do about this time of year. And some people might find, it's like cleaning and decluttering to be one of those tasks that's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. But if you take that and you expand on it, how your external environment can reflect your internal environment, being able to declutter and throw away things that you're no longer using and you're no longer needing, which by the way, I think everybody should declutter at least once a year, if not more, because as we go through life, something we needed at one point, at some point we're not going to need it anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
either donate it, sell it, get rid of it, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think of it in terms of being able to declutter my environment helps me to also clear my mind, which helps me to see my path more clearly. You can draw those direct lines from the mundane to the joy of your journey. So I like to, put that out there for people. So we're getting close to the end of our time. Is there something you'd like to leave everyone with? I'll let you have the final word.
Oh
What would you
boy,
like to leave? What would you like to leave them with? Inspire and electrify.
no pressure. I think yes, I think we've nailed it on many different angles. But I'll add something that we haven't touched on. There's sometimes, not going into labels, but there's sometimes that you just can't get happy for whatever reason.
Mm, yeah,
Talk to someone,
yeah,
seek help. Whether it's a professional, whether it's a very, very close friend that you're like, hey, I think I just need to talk. Or it could even be at a superficial level if you're not there yet. And just literally, like with women, we're like, let's have a girls' night, because
yeah,
sometimes you just need your friends, you need your girls, and you need to just vent. And while we're all talking, 50% of the people can get happy with the things that we've been talking about. For that other 50%, it's kind of like, give it a try and practice these things and talk
mm,
to someone. Because it's not, I gave it a try and it didn't work. It's my fault. Everybody else can get happy and I can't.
yeah,
Yeah, there's something happening there. That's something a little bit more.
yeah,
And I don't want to end it on that note, but I do want to make it a point across that we're all meant to experience life happy. And if we're not doing it, okay, then let's figure out why.
yeah. I absolutely agree with that. So, yeah. Alrighty.
Besides that, just have fun. I mean, my final words, life is meant to be fun. Have fun. What can you do to have fun?
Yeah, have some fun.
Yeah.
Find something, even little things. Just, you know, if your life is full of, just having to clean the house every day, find a way to make that more joyful. Put some music in while you're
Mm-hmm.
cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Find little things, and those little things will become bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
And, as Angelica said, it's like you also need to practice. You need to put it into practice. So there's you also need to have a little bit of consistency. So don't go, I tried it one day and it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a little while to build it. Okay. So you got to remember it is a journey, it's not a destination. And you will probably never fully reach that destination because guess what? You set a goal, you get there, and your goal changes,
Yep.
and the journey continues. Alrighty, so that is it for today's show. Thank you guys that are listening live for joining us. If you're watching it later, thank you for watching the replay. And you can join us again. As I said, Angelica will be one of my recurring guests. So we will have something fun to talk about each month. So you can look at the schedule and see when she's going to be back on if you're interested in just watching her. But I would encourage you to watch all of the recurring guests because, we got some good stuff that we'd like to share with you guys. So, alrighty. So, anything else you'd like to add, Angelica, before we go?
No, thank you. Thank you for having me here. And I love these conversations. They're important conversations and enjoy the ride, enjoy the experience.
All right. Well, that's it for today's show, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Living Naturally for Life and angelicadelcarmen.com. Comment, like, subscribe.